Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a 2075 live stream. Again with Microsoft Flight Simulator, we are going to be flying above some of the beautiful countryside. About 4 hours of drive north of Stockholm, Sweden. Not too far away from where I actually live, although I am not going to tell you where it exactly it is, but it's not too far away. It is morning. I did increase the time a little bit, like an hour or so, just to get some daylight. So hopefully that's going to be alright. And, well, we are going to be just about ready to take off. I'm just going to have a look in real quick on the volumes. We need to be maybe down here. That's probably better, so that you guys can hear me nice and loud. And let's have a look here. It's always that, you know, when you do things live. And of course, it did not save my tags. Hang on. There we go. Come on now. There we go. And want you guys to find the stream for sure. So that's what we're doing. Today's recording date, of course, and we are good to go, almost. It just takes a little while to, well, oh wow, okay, I'm really used to. There we go. We are running. There we go. Nice. So, let's see, where are we? There we are. And I'm gonna just mute myself. Don't want to hear myself twice, right? We're not that much into our own voice, really. Let's just pop out the chat. Can I? I don't know what's going on here. Just bear with me, guys. We are setting things up. I'm just gonna do that and see if I can get things right. And come on now. There we go. Alright, we are rolling. Alright, I am gonna just do this because we don't need Discord for now. But we do need a chat window. So might as well have that one up, and we are taking off. Sorry for taking some time there to get started. Doing the live stream now in 1080p. We are probably in the better doing so. That's my take. So that's how it's gonna be. For sure, you know, like that. We just don't need to make life harder. Flying my little favorite helicopter, the G2. And it's actually snow here in Sweden. It seems to be represented here. There's snow on the ground. And we should have a steady flow on the screen. Eventually I will put in a live chat as well, but for now it's just gonna have to be what it is. You know, there's no real rush pushing thing. I hope the stream is okay. It looks to me that it may not be. We'll see. Alright, let's see. This one would be Hudiksvall. It's a city not too far away from where I live. It's a coastal city, about 4 hours of drive north of Stockholm. By car, of course. Well, they actually managed to get it white and bright for this morning. And it's looking real good. I wonder what's going on here, guys. Hang on. Let me have a look. Do I even have a... Yeah, I have a live stream. Let's just, Yep, it's working. Alright. Sorry, guys. I just had to make sure that everything works. I've had some serious issues lately. There we go. Just checking my chat. So that way I see should someone join or drop in. At least I'm not going to be too completely oblivious to the chat. Now obviously you don't get to see much roads down there, will you? I mean, with the snow and everything going on. I don't know if we should actually fly this way. It is cool and all, but and it is pretty much what it looks like down there now. But we're gonna land somewhere down in the city center here and change a little bit on the season for in our favor, actually, at least for the sake of this stream. But other than that, the lighting is really gorgeous, though. Gotta say that, at least. I mean, oh yeah. Alright, we're double checking the volumes on the stream, oops, to see that I am actually louder than the actual aircraft itself. So I think I'm gonna just spare you guys a little bit more on the noise from the aircraft. Somewhere there should be good. And I will have a look later. Checking the altimeter for the helicopter. Needs to be calibrated now and then. And I completely lost my bearing. Well, not really. I mean, I have a compass. That at least is something, right? Having a compass is never bad. Alright, so we are heading north. Give or take. There we go. Now we're heading northeast slightly. So might as well head east and head down to the downtown area. Like I said. That would be the ocean over there. Way over there. Alright. It's a bit jerky, but that is to be expected given that we are flying with a rather cheap old Logitech joystick. I don't know what just happened to my Warthog joystick. It seems to be messing with its firmware for time being, so I haven't been able to update it. But I'll probably figure out a way to get rid of that issue, and we should be back with that one. But in terms of fidelity, I mean, the dead zone here is much more delicate. Obviously, as you can see, due to the wobble. So it is actually, in a way, better with the helicopter. But I mean, it's sort of double-edged anyway. So, all right. So down here we have Hudiksvall. That is about 4 hours of drive by car north of Stockholm. And we're about to land somewhere so that we can adjust the season so that at least we don't have to have snow on the ground, because as good as it's looking, but we don't get to see the roads and textures of farmlands and what have you. So we're gonna, for the sake of sighting and the stream, we're gonna remove the snow. Alright, so about down here we actually have McDonald's. That'd be the building that we have pointing right there. That's the McDonald's in real life. I think that's the one. We'll check it out. It might not be the one, actually. I don't want to fool you guys, but I think that was the one. Yeah, that must have been the one. Alright, so I'm gonna head on down there somewhere. See if I can land and without making a fool out of it. Of myself, anyway. Using a Warthog HOTAS throttle and a older Sightseeing Pro rudder pedals, and in this case it would be torque pedals because it's a helicopter, so it's not rudder really. And well, the Logitech Force 3D something for the cyclic. It's not a yoke or a joystick, it's actually a cyclic in a helicopter. Alright, so let's head on down here. It doesn't matter really, I just need to land to be able to accommodate our weather. That's the beauty with this as well, is you can change your setting in real time, which we are going to do now. Hopefully, if we can get down there without. That's a dish rotor wash. What am I saying? Come on, easy now, easy now. Takes a lot more force to give it enough torque to not just slam to the ground. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're down. We're down. Alright, let's see. We can actually go in here and do the change in real time, which is really nice. So we're gonna change the season to July, maybe. And I don't know. Might as well do that. That was actually the thing. Let's give it some clouds. It's always nice with like some clouds, right? I don't know. Either that one or we're gonna go with that one. That's the one. That's the one we're gonna go with. And then this is where the beauty starts. We can actually get a nice color set here. How about something like that? That's really nice. How the morning light is going to be in our favor. Alright, now we should be able to see certain textures better for the sightseeing. Right skid heavy. Applying a little bit of a right rudder to somewhat give it an impression that I know what I'm doing. Which I clearly don't. That was not a very smooth takeoff for sure, but it was a takeoff nevertheless. Down here is a nice Chinese restaurant that I used to visit now and then. In fact, I'm actually going to be driving here today, later today, doing some errands, because where I live, it's way off inland on the countryside, and we don't have a lot of stores here, which we have maybe like 3 grocery stores and like 3-4 grocery stores, but those aren't really like if you go here at least you have more accommodation that a city would be providing you, rather than more countryside would do. So yeah, but right now we do have about the weather we had initially, and pretty much here we have well, the Baltic Sea. This actually leads to the Baltic Sea. And I gotta say though, I mean, it's so nice to be able to fly around in a helicopter now that you get to appreciate some of the scenery, even though up in Sweden, in most parts, it's not very detailed, and it's just part of a scenery that you buy or download, and that is of course given that they have provided you with some accurate scenery around the airport or whatever you buy for it. And that's not always the case, but well, I just hope Microsoft or Asobo will give Sweden some more love in terms of detail, especially over Stockholm. Some of the buildings are really off there. And it's not all Asobo, it's partially because of Bing Map. It's been way outdated in some areas in the world. So, but then again, you know, it can only get better, so don't give up hope on Microsoft Flight Simulator yet in terms of details. Gonna be heading to the European Road E4. E stands for Europe, or Europe Road 4. It's gonna be down here. One that goes from south of Sweden, and pretty much follows the eastern coast all the way up north and continues. I think it continues. I can't remember whether it was Norway or Finland, but it's either way. Alright, let's see what we can find here. It should be... You will already pass it though. I have no idea. I think this is the highway that we're passing here, but I might be mistaken. Let's see. That's the cool part with Microsoft Flight Simulator, is that you can actually, if you know your area, you can actually follow the road. And I think we did take it a little bit too short there, so we need to go. This is the back road, sort of. We're back at McDonald's down there. Somewhere. Yeah, there it is. I was wrong. That's McDonald's. Across the road there would be a gas station, and this would be the road through the town. If you don't have any errands in there, you go through the town over this road. And to the right we have the local hospital in Hudiksvall. Down below to the right. Any major or sort of major incidents happening, you go in there, basically. You drive through this street that we just fly over here. Some of the shop centers are going to be down to the left, some promenade alleys and promenade places where you can walk along the small body of water here. Last roundabout in the city, or in the town, is rather a town in my opinion, coming from Stockholm at least, or other places in the world. Even Stockholm is, well, in my opinion, called a town, in size-wise anyways. Unless you count in some of the suburbs, of course. But having lived in Stockholm for, I don't know, like 20 years or so, prior to that, I actually lived abroad in both Paris and the Netherlands, a place called Katwijk. Yeah, now we're following the main road, pretty much leading to the highway. The one that I was talking about earlier, the E4, or a European road, or European motorway or highway, number 4. Going south to north is north to south, along the east coast of Sweden. There's also a nice rest stop over to the right hand side on the other side, where you have Burger King and you have a bunch of other major gallerias and such. Well, major, but you know, like for this area. Now down in Stockholm we would have these like in an abundant. We had probably some 10 of these everywhere, at least, if not more. But this is the closest the one that we have here, and I have to drive about an hour from where I actually live to get to here. So there's a lot of driving, and obviously, I mean, you can imagine it's pretty. You definitely need a car here. Of course, there are buses going up here, like commuting buses and all that stuff. And for the most part, it works. Of course, it's Sweden after all, but I wouldn't rely too much on it. And the waiting time, or the waiting, is pretty long sometimes, especially up here, in between the buses. And weather is pretty bad sometimes, especially in the winter, where sometimes the roads are so clogged that with snow that you can't get anywhere without, maybe, unless you have a all-wheel drive car or some sort of a ground clearance, or even a snowmobile even. There are a lot of snowmobile trails here for those who want to do that, and then you have a lot of skiing obviously, and fishing in the summer, and some various adventure life like biking and and so on. There's quite a lot of nature activities during, well, all year around here in these areas. And we're about a couple of 100 meters above the sea level, coming inland here. So it is quite a bit above the sea level, for sure. Temperature obviously is quite different here between the regions, because well, it differs from the ocean side there, that we just took up from. Yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of agriculture here, but I'd say up here, at least where I live, it's more about cow cattling, like that kind of stuff, for meat especially. Not so much for milk, but more for meat. It's a meat society where I live. I mean, I even have to, well, deal with cows and everything, like opening the window on the upper floor here. I see cows across the street, like in the pen. Or the pens, I don't know. Pens or pens, I don't know. But it has a charm for sure. It's less stressful. Nature is close. You just need to walk like across the road, and you're gonna have a piece of wood with a couple of skiing trails. Otherwise, exercise trails, I suppose, in the summer, for biking even. And then just forest everywhere, as you can see. That's mainly the occupation for a lot of people. Timber. And some other industrial stuff. Maybe some mining here and there as well, I would say. But mainly timber. Timber and agriculture and farming in general. This church down here is obviously not looking like that, but it's a very beautiful church in real life. And you'll notice it right away driving down this road. So beautiful. Now there are some speed cameras down here, so you don't want to be caught off guard from overspeeding here, because it is a 90 km/h of speed limit on this road. It's one lane each direction, and there are slow moving traffics like well, A-tractors. I don't know if you guys know what that is. That's sort of like a maximum allowed speed for 30 km/h. Could be converted cars, but they are sort of like classified as a tractor. They have to have a tail hook and a stiff rear axle, amongst other things, and have to meet certain criteria in terms of weight and the amount of passengers that you can take on board. I think it's like you can't actually use your rear seat if you have one, so you have to wield or seal your doors one way or another. It needs to be like non-functional for that, things like that. But those are moving on the road 30 km/h on a 90 km/h road. You can imagine the line up behind those sometimes. You can drive those cars on from a very early age, way before you get to have your driver's license. Obviously, you do something serious like trimming it, making it go faster, or doing something to it, you actually are considered to be driving as if you were driving without a driver's license in a car, or like that kind of stuff. So it will definitely affect your future in terms of taking your driver's license, for sure. And there are a lot of incidents lately involving those A-tractors on these roads. But I mean, as opposed to having a moped car, like those EU moped cars, at least they can go they're allowed to travel at 50 km/h. I'd say that, okay, if you're going to allow the A-tractors on the road, at least let them reach a speed of 50. That way, it's not going to be as cumbersome as as it is now, when they have to stick to the 30s, whereas the moped can actually go 50. So in a way there needs to be some changes at least, because I think the last proposition of sort of like make them forbidden got rejected in the court of the European Union, or like by the European Union anyways. So that's not going to happen. They're going to stay, but at least change the rules around them so that at least they can keep with the flow a little bit better. More regulations, obviously now since it's a tractor, you don't have to wear seatbelts either. That might also be a factor, like why not wear a seatbelt if you have a converted car like a Volvo or an Audi or a Mercedes to be a tractor. At least those should have seatbelts in them, so they should be used. So there has been quite a lot of incidents and death-related incidents actually, to be honest, in regards to those. But yeah, other than that, the road is actually pretty nice down here. It has a couple of speed cameras. We don't have like you guys in the United States, or the guys in the United States have cops everywhere and blind spots and hiding, trying to use radar on traffic to clock speeds. But we have that now and then, but it's not very common. It's more likely a camera to capture you. And here in Sweden, so far, you have to be identifiable as the driver driving the car at the moment the picture is taken. So obviously, if you obscure your face, fold down the sun visor or what have you, that's pretty much going to be invalidated, of course. I suppose if you're going at 300 kilometers an hour on this road, it would be further investigated, obviously, for some, tracking down of who's actually owning the car and all that stuff, and where the person lives. Because ultimately, you as the owner of the car is ultimately responsible for whoever actually drives the car. So, in my opinion, that should be pretty much the case in terms of fining someone for a driving or speeding violation. But then again, of course, it should be it's just too easy to get away with driving too fast in Sweden, and you can tell people up here in north compared to Stockholm actually drive much faster on these roads. Like on these 90s road, you can easily expect, especially in the morning when there's very little traffic, easily 120 or more on these roads. And given that all the wildlife we have here, you can imagine, we have tons of wildlife like deers, we have elk or moose, we have foxes, we have other animals, like cats, even, and wolves even, and bears. You're hitting an animal at those speeds and it's pretty much done for. I actually, in the beginning of this year, I actually had an incident myself, driving my wife in the morning, every morning pretty much at 4 a.m. You can imagine a certain time during the year, it's going to be like that twilight zone between morning or sunrise, sunrise or sunset, and that's when you're most likely going to expect seeing those animals on the roads. Well, so obviously, one morning I had this deer running in front of my car coming from the right-hand side, which is the worst case scenario because that even gives you even less time to react to it. And this one was on a 70 kilometer an hour road. And luckily I did see a couple of deers prior to that one, because there were like 2 deers I think I saw earlier, and they made me slow down because I realized, okay, usually when you see 1 deer or 2 deers, there's going to be more around. So I did slow down from, I don't know, like I might have been driven 70. And I did slow down to 60, 50-ish. But by the time I came around a slightly left bend, I had this deer popping up in front of my car like 2 meters ahead. And there's no way, Jose, you're going to be able to stop in time for that one, even if you're going at 50. So, well, I did hit it. I didn't feel anything in the car, and wife, she's just gasped for air, and I just called the deer a stupid son of a bitch, you know, for running out in front of my car. Out loud. She even remembered this. Keeps reminding me. Or but I mean, I did pretty much like scooping it up inside of my grill, and the grill pretty much got cracked. And that's about it. Maybe the right fog light got pushed in and punctured the line for the windshield washer. But that's pretty much all there was. No scratch, no dents, and nothing. And the deer obviously got thrown away or scooped away. And as I stopped the car, I just let go of the deer and it just slided down the road and made some, like jerking and screaming in death pain. Well, I don't know. I think it was dead. I think it broke its neck. But it kept on screaming and rattling for like an hour. Oh no. What am I saying here? No, like a minute. And so I just realized, okay, that's it. It's pretty much dying, right? The wife, she was just terrified, you know. She just couldn't bear hearing that poor thing. And I'm an animal friend myself. I mean, I don't think I would be able to pull a trigger on an animal unless it's like really a survival. But you know, I could never be a hunter for that reason. Of course I felt with it, but it was done already. And, you know, I just hoped that it would feel no pain, you know, and all that stuff. So, but I had to call the tow truck because at the time I didn't know what fluid just came out of my car, and obviously I had a cracked grill and everything. And it was like almost 4:30 in the morning, and not much traffic either. I managed to flag down a post van. I was handing out some mail, but I just told them that I already called the cops because that's what you're supposed to do, you know. You always call the cops to let them know what's happening and let them decide whether they're gonna send for a hunter to kill a wounded animal, should that be the case. In this case, obviously it was already dead, but you know, like a hunter still needs to take care of it anyway. So I marked out the spot and where the deer was with a piece of the envelope from the glove compartments because I didn't have a proper marker at the time. I usually do, but at the time, the car was pretty new and I hadn't put all stuff from the old car into the new car. So I just had to do what was available, which was an envelope. And the wife has put that one up on a snow pin, like a snow. Like we have pins, or I don't know what you call them. Like, it's pretty much a pin that you put on an orange one that you put on the side of the road, just along the road to see where the road actually ends when it's snow. So wifey put one on those, an envelope, and then we got a tow truck coming, and he checked out the car. Well, needless to say though, he tasted the fluid on the ground, whilst saying, okay, you shouldn't really do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. And so he realized, okay, that's just washer fluid, you're good to go. Initially we thought that that was something else, like coolant or what have you. So, the car was fine. He just removed the cracked wheel so that we wouldn't hurt something else, should something happen. But we just kept on going back home, of course, because we were both shook up. So wifey took that day off from work, and me dealing with the insurance company that actually covered the whole thing, both the damages and rental cars during the workshop hours, or when I had to leave the car for the workshop. And it was fairly smooth and simple. We have a really good insurance where we can actually rent a car and get it like a lot of percentage off, pretty much almost free, I would say, for a long period of time should we need it. And that is definitely needed up here. You can imagine, you see all the roads here. It is pretty barren in terms of infrastructure, should I say. But there are a lot of animals here. I don't know, sort of like my estimation is that you're more likely to, at least given the hours we drive in the mornings and all that stuff, I'd say that I'm more likely to hit about 2 deers a year. That's the potential risk. I almost actually hit a deer like 2 days ago. Again. But, and this time it was actually slippery even. But I mean, we do have dub tires or stub tires here in Sweden. It's allowed. And it's very much needed. You can imagine here, they don't really treat the roads in general as well as they do in urban areas. So it's just almost like driving on, well, it's almost, it is like driving on countryside roads, because these are countryside roads, right? And I just don't get it how you guys in the US manage, with ordinary snow tire without no studs, especially when it's really slippery. And I mean, in a way, I get it why all those accidents do happen everywhere else in the world. It just doesn't make any sense, because if it's slippery, you're just going to be tearing up the ice at the most. You're not going to really damage the road, obviously. According to those environmental freaks, as I would like to call them, they claim that you release certain particles from having studs on your tires. I don't know, but that's supposed to be toxic. But I'd rather choose the safety of my life rather than whatever little toxic that happens to be. And up here in North Sweden and anywhere else in Sweden, it's just not as populated anyways. Stockholm would be the most populated city in Sweden, or area in Sweden even. Like about 1 million inhabitants, or just for Stockholm itself, plus the urban areas or suburban areas. So maybe with the suburban areas, we're talking about at the very most close to 2 million people around Stockholm. But anywhere else, we're talking about hundreds of thousands at the very most in 2 or 3 different places. And the rest, we're talking about 10,000 of the 10,000s of people in Sweden. And in lots of cases where I live, it's just a couple of thousand. And in the very village I live, it's just about a couple of 100 people living there. So, I mean, it's ridiculous that politicians speak for the whole country, which is so diverse in terms of contrast. I mean, in terms of what's going on in Stockholm or in Gothenburg or what have you. But I mean, it's just not comparable. Up here, we can't choose to just pick a bus. I mean, of course there are buses, but like I said, don't rely on the buses being very frequent. And you want to stand on these roads where there are no sidewalks, people driving at least a 90 or, like I said, 120 or more, and even the trucks do, not like 90s, even if it's lower. You're gonna be standing on this road waiting for your bus in the winter cold, in deep snow, and what, God forbid, what weather, like, you don't choose that if you have any other option, right? I'd say most people that have a driving license, or, well, should have a driving license up here, would rely on the car, right? And what options do we have nowadays? Especially now that the government even speaks of not supporting people who want to get into electric cars, while still endorsing for it, like it just doesn't make any sense, right? And then on top of things, with the war over at where, causing all of Europe pretty much having to have an electrical crisis and energy crisis in general. But electrical bills here have been spared for quite a while, because we do have hydro power plants in the rivers up North Sweden, so we have a little bit more access to electricity, obviously, because we do produce quite a lot, and we have wind power, wind power plants as well over here in some hills. We're probably gonna see some actually. And obviously we have been spared from like half of the country, or well, the last third of the country southbound of this area. We've been spared of the increased electrical prices, but now it's just going to be winter, and obviously everyone have to cut down a little bit, and obviously what's important for those hydro plants is that they need to shut down or regulate it so that the ice can be formed, so that then the water can flow more freely underneath the ice. So that's going to be a period in a transition period before the ice actually starts to be building up, so that they can go back to one sort of like a normal-ish production of electricity again. But for now, at least, we are having some increased prices with quite a lot of percentage, like 20 or 30% increase on electrical poles, even up here. But well, that's life, you know. Like it is what it is, right? Especially with the war going on and everything. And we don't really have much choice here. It's a car, friendly neighbors, nice community, you know, and that's it. And we all have responsibilities to bear. And bear in mind, though, I am actually referring to some of you guys who actually live here and actually do drive your cars like crazies. Because let's just face it, guys. I have a car that can do well over 300 kilometers an hour easily, you know. But even so, I am driving with responsibility in mind. I never, rarely push over the speed limits, and even then, you know, I rarely push it in that way, because I usually just cruise, and I know better, because especially having hit that deer earlier this year. If I would have gone at 70 kilometers an hour on that 70 kilometer an hour road, which I wasn't by the collision, I probably did 50 and was braking hard as well. You know, that's the difference between actually being able to walk away from a incident like that, from actually being sent to the hospital, or God knows anything worse even. But you know, like, and if you think about it, like, think about those demonstrations of cars being smashed to the walls during the crash tests. You know, those are doing like 55, 60, 65-ish at the very most, but you don't walk away from those, right? So you imagine you trying to drive at 70 or 80 or 90 or even higher than that, you're not going to be walking away without any injuries. You're going to be definitely hurt. And even if you survive a crash from the speeds of what they do in those crash tests, you're most likely going to have some sprained ankle or bruises, and, you know, feel the concussion of it, because it's still a lot of force to deal with. And so people just don't realize how serious it is to actually hit something. And I mean, we all share the same road, guys. Just remember that. We have kids down there in cars. We have family. We have people that everyone care about. And I just don't see why we just stop caring because we like driving fast for no reason and taking unnecessary risks. Not just for yourself, but for others, you know. It's just, yeah, it just baffles me, you know, sometimes. But then again, you know, you just, I don't know what it is, but it just like feels like, you know, I'm in my 47 years old now, and turning into 50, and I would think that, okay, I've matured enough to realize the risks about things. Obviously, you don't want to let fear take over, but you at least should take more responsibility of the possibilities of your actions. And that goes a long way as well. I mean, it's one thing if I drive alone and have no car around me and it's just me, you know, slamming into a tree or clipping an elk's or something, but usually I have people on board or in my car, and I don't know, I mean, it's easy to think that, okay, it's cool, you know, but it's easy to think that it's fine. But then again, when it's there, you know, like, say if I were to drive at 70 kilometers an hour as I hit that deer earlier this year, my wife most likely would have been wounded, and I would have come out of it, you know, perfectly fine, because it was on the passenger side. And that's the thing as well. I mean, would I be able to live with that, you know, regardless of the outcome? No, I don't think so. And we all should think of that. It's just not worth it, you know? It's just not worth it. Just take it easy down the road. Respect others. Don't tailgate people. Don't drive aggressively. There's no place for aggression on the road. Leave that at home or go to the drink, goddammit. Man, I'm getting upset. But you know, like that's just me mumbling about the road I'm actually flying over. Heading towards the area-ish where I live. Taking about an hour in real life. I'm actually flying fairly slow now. But yeah, these are the areas I live in. You know, it's it is all fine. Let's have a look. Do we have a live stream yet? Oh, we do have a live stream, and I'm just moving the mouse outside of the stream here, guys, just to check that I still have a fluent stream. And I do. Oh yeah, look at that. It actually worked for a change. Nice. We did set the weather in the beginning here for a summertime. So just to accommodate for you know, better recognition on roads and woods or forests you see, obviously with the trees, but like you want to see some of the farmlands and the roads. Like I said, everything is covered in snow, otherwise you wouldn't tell the difference from the roads, other than maybe some cars driving down the road, but or representative cars, and that's it. You know, you wouldn't see anything else. So this much I can tell you, it's the closest society to where I live, but I don't live in this village or town either. It's called Ljusdal, but it is like a 10 kilometer away from where I live, so that's all I'm gonna say. But I mean, yeah, this is like the biggest society we have where I live, and it's really not that big, as you can tell. It's it takes about 15 minutes walking from one end to the other on the long side. That's it. That's all there is, though. That's the reason why we have to drive to Hudiksvall, where we took off to do some bigger errands, or where we need some certain stores that just can't find out on the countryside like this. The river you see here on the left is called Ljusdal. It originates from the mountains around the Norwegian border. Runs down eastbound, down to the east coast. It's a fairly long river. It actually freezes over the winter eventually. Or does it? Ah, well, I think it does. I'm not gonna fool you guys again, but yeah, I think it does. The train station here, the closest one from where I live, in Ljusdal, also has a bus terminal where you conveniently can take either the train or the bus on a direct line from Stockholm. Takes about 4 hours, 4.5 to go either train or train. I'd say it's for 3 hours, but bus definitely 4.5 hours. The church in Ljusdal, you see it there. It's not what it looks like in real life. It's just a represented model for it. The bridge of Ljusdal. The road that we were coming from was actually road 83, I think it was, or 84. Either one of them. And so they go parallel to each other. You can actually, if you follow the road after the bridge here to the left, you're gonna end up in Ljusdal, which is where the Swedish singer, I don't know if you guys know her, but Lil Babs used to live. She had, that's where she came from anyway. She had, she had a singing career and all that stuff. She was pretty much known by everyone in Sweden. She passed away a couple of years ago. Left a lot of broken hearts here for sure. And then, oh now I gotta remember the name. But you know the girl from Tomb Raider, the latest Tomb Raider, Vikander, I think that's the name of it. She is actually from Hudiksvall, where we took off. So that's where she comes from. So we do have a couple of worldwide familiar faces from this area, for sure. You probably know, well, oh, that's it, yeah, pretty much the one that I can come up with right now. Way over there in the distance, way over there somewhere, in the distance, is where I live. Like, before the big lake over there, but yeah, that's about where I live, give or take. Alright, so we're gonna continue along Ljusdal, the river, because the closest airfield we have here is actually what you can see there, like 3 buildings, the big red one and 2 white buildings. That's a small countryside grassland airfield, mostly used for paradropping or paradropping, yeah, well, I suppose you could call it that. Paragliders and that kind of stuff, you know, that kind of activity. Maybe sailplanes as well, I don't know. That's the closest small airfield we have. And it's probably where I would be having my helicopter if I had one. Or a small, you know, like a small ultralight or what have you. We're going to be landing there, and I am going to be wrapping up this video, and thanks guys for tagging along this very well, informative ride. Me talking about life in general over here and my life experiences whilst flying the stretch I'm going to be driving later today, give or take. It's a little bit more because we're not quite where I live, but fairly enough, close enough. And yep, don't forget to hit the subscribe and like unless you haven't already, and also the notification bell so that you can catch up with the next event coming up. I will do more of these sightseeing and a little bit of a storytelling along the way. Probably it's actually a pretty good way to get it out of my system. Getting a little upset now and then and happy about things, and you know, that kind of stuff. So having that all said, guys, thank you for watching, and I am signing off.